You're listening to the Dudes and Dads Podcast, a show dedicated to helping men be better dudes and dads by building community through meaningful conversation and storytelling. And now, here are your hosts, Joel DeMott and Andy Lehman.
Welcome back, Joel. It is episode 18, and we are about to have Thanksgiving here in the United States.
Oh, the good old U.S. of A. brings a lot of joy to my heart, specifically when we're talking Turkey Day.
Oh yes, I'm excited for that. We're spending time here with the family, and then going to my sister's house.
Wonderful.
Yeah. What about you?
Well, same thing. We get my parents and Jackie's parents together, big old meal, and then the day after, I head out for a couple of days of fantastic pheasant hunting. So I'm super excited about that. Taking a boy, taking number one with me one of the days, and then number two with me on the second day. And yeah, we're looking forward to it. It's going to be a good time. So happy Thanksgiving to all of you. You'll obviously be hearing this a little bit after Thanksgiving, but hope all of you are ready to dive into the holiday season. Keep your sanity while doing it.
What's brewing?
Here it comes.
What's brewing?
So, Joel, we are drinking some coffee tonight.
We are.
Oh, hold on. Let me grab it for you.
Yeah.
What do you drink?
So we got the from the wonderful people at Switchback Coffee Roasters in delightful Colorado Springs, Colorado. They're Rwanda. Made apparently from the a lot of details on this particular package.
All right, hit me with them.
Yeah, so this is from the delightful Kinini Village in the northern province. It has been wash processed. It is of these beans are of the bourbon variety.
Interesting.
I don't know what that means, but it does sound exciting. These beans were also grown at an altitude of 2,200 meters. Now, I don't know metric, but that sounds high to me.
Yeah.
And then its taste notes include orange, apricot, white tea, and silky, which
yes, all of those things.
That's how I describe Andy's voice on a regular basis.
Most importantly, though, Joel, what are you drinking it out of?
Well, Andy, any coffee tastes better out of a delightful Dudes and Dads coffee mug, which you too can purchase for the holiday season
at dudesanddadspodcast.com/store. The front has our nice yellow logo. Dudes and Dads has the website, and the back says What's Brewing. So every time you drink it, you can think of our What's Brewing segment.
Yeah. So again, in general, What's Brewing for us is this good holiday season. We're excited to just connect with family and think about the many things we've got to be grateful for. I had the great opportunity of being with the Oasis Young Adult Network. It's an area young adult network comprised of several congregations in our area. Let's see here. I was there last night giving some devotional thoughts on Thanksgiving, and just a really, really good time. And it reminded me that we got a lot to be thankful for, a lot to be grateful for. Andy, particularly, I'm grateful for you, my wonderful co-host and producer.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you so much for this. Man, we're going to be completing our first season here.
We are here shortly,
and not too long. Man, it's flown by. So super grateful to. Again, thankful for all of you listeners out there as well for hanging with us into this 18th episode. As always, it's going to be another great one. Very excited about who we've got on the show because he's a near and dear friend. Andy and I both know him. We've gotten to experience some of the best parts of, I think, his leadership, his gifting, his passion, and we're gonna kick off the interview with him. So, are we ready to go, Andy?
We are ready to go.
He's calling in.
Yes, we have Daniel DeForge on the phone with us. This is our first actual ever call-in show. We've done it over Skype or Zoom or whatever, but we've never done it over the telephone. So, Daniel, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Oh, awesome. Well, see, Daniel, now I was just giving you a rough time about your job title. So, Daniel, you are the Partnership Development Lead at Bair Lake Bible Camp, located in beautiful Jones, Michigan, which, it's if you blink, you'll miss it. But Bair Lake is it's the highlight of the area, dare I say. I think that's fair. Does that sound fair to say? The highlight of the area, the region?
Yeah, I would say so. We have more pigs and people in Jones, but when summer camp fills up, I think we give them a run for their money.
Beautiful, beautiful. So
Yeah.
Daniel, what we're gonna dive into your story here a little bit, just to hear kind of what has brought you to where you are in life now. But when I hopped on your fancy Bair Lake Bible Camp, recently updated Bair Lake Bible Camp website, and it tells me that you are the partnership development lead, I think to myself,
What the heck is that?
what the heck is a partnership development lead? Other than I can surmise that he leads in developing partnerships. But Daniel, tell us what is it you do, sir? What is it you do?
Yeah, so basically, partnership development lead is a fancy way of saying I help bridge the gap between camp and other ministries. Here at camp, we feel and we believe that we can do things in the body of Christ that churches may not be able to accomplish or do, and then we also believe that churches can do things that camp can't do. And so to be able to partner together in that is a beautiful thing. You know, we love being able to work with youth pastors and bringing their students here, and then being able to send those students back with those youth pastors to continue being poured into year round. So that's kind of my main job is to build those partnerships and help maintain those. And then I run 2 weeks of summer camp, and I run our winter Blitz retreats, our men's retreats, and women's retreats as well.
Yeah, and we're I myself have got 2 student groups coming to Winter Blitz this coming.
And I will be there as a
January.
leader with the middle school
yes.
one. So.
And we're praying for another hefty snowfall. We got a sweet one last year that let me just say it really brought camp to life when you had all that snow to trudge through. So we're hoping for another good one. But what I will say, guys, Bair Lake Bible Camp has become a place where my ministry has just found a great home. It has been a really wonderful fit for us, and we can't say enough about Bair Lake, and so we're excited to get out there again this coming winter. And I would also say this: Daniel he's a humble dude, and that's what I also love about him. But Daniel kills it at doing this whole bridging the gap between camp ministry and the local church. I just feel like, Daniel, if I can say, you really represent the camp well. So I'm super, in saying we're thankful for things, I want to say I'm thankful for what you do, my friend.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Yeah, absolutely.
So let's talk a little bit here. Tell us about your life. Tell us about you. How did you end up in the camp? Let's talk.
Yeah, because let's just be honest, and I could say this because my wife was in camping ministry for a while as well. It's a special kind of person. That much like it's a special kind of person that goes into youth ministry, it's a special kind of person that goes into camping ministry. So take us back as far as you want to, Daniel, in your kind of life journey, and then and then kind of bring us up to present. How has life unfolded so that you are doing what you're doing now?
Yeah, so I grew up in the east side of the state in a suburb of Livonia, and so I grew up in a Christian home, was always brought to church on Sundays, but kind of played the two-faced game where I put one face on walking into church, and as soon as the church service was over, put another face on at school. And so I lived that way for a while, and I had my parents fooled all throughout middle school, going into high school. And in 8th grade, I was brought here to camp by the youth pastor at Life Church in Canton. And we came out to Bair Lake, and I came here for a summer and got to experience what it was like at summer camp for the first time. And I remember I walked with my cabin leader at the time, Ben Bean, and I was just in awe of the community and the relationships that were here at camp, and the ways that people loved each other and looked after each other. And I saw what Christian life was supposed to look like. And I just was so drawn to that. And so I definitely wanted to be a part of Bair Lake. I knew Bair Lake was always going to hold a special place in my heart. So I was walking with Ben, and we were walking to the dining hall, and I'm looking around, and I look at Ben, and I say, Ben, one day I want to live here at camp. And he just kind of chuckled, like, whatever, here's this, 8th grade kid, first time at camp, of course he wants to live here. And then we kept on going. I was like, Ben, one day I want to work at camp. And he chuckled again, and I looked at him third time. I said, Ben, one day I want to run the camp. So I joked with Drew, I've accomplished 2 out of 3. I'm coming for the third. But so that was just my experience. And Ben and I were able to form a relationship because Ben actually was just a summer counselor over from the east side of the state as well. So Ben was able to pour into my life when we got back to Livonia. And so that's kind of where key parts started happening of having some older men in my life who started investing into me. And then when I was a sophomore in high school, I kind of strayed away from the Christian community, and I would immerse myself in the party scene. I got an addiction to pornography, and so I let those things feed me, and it led down to a path of destruction and things that promise that they're going to fill you but don't succeed in doing so. And so I kept on seeking other things to try to fill me up, and finally one of the kids in the youth group called me while I was at a party, and the youth group had gone up to Bair Lake for a retreat, and I chose not to go because I was rather been at the parties. And he called me and said, "Hey, where you at?" I said, "That's none of your business right now." And he said, "Well, Daniel, I think it's time for you to wake up. God has something incredible for your life, and you're throwing it away right now, and you need to stop being selfish, and you need to wake up." And I hung up the phone, and I was mad, and I was like, "Who is this kid telling me to wake up?" And I left the party, and I just went for a walk, and the Lord hit me with this spiritual 2x4 and grabbed a hold of my heart and said, He's speaking truth to you. He's speaking truth in love. You need to listen. You need to open up your eyes. And I have incredible things for you if you just will obey. And so I chose to go home, and I was able to confess to my parents some of the ugly truths in my life and ask for forgiveness in that. I sought some of the older men in my life and asked for accountability and for them to continue to pour into me, and that I wanted to get back on track. And those guys did an excellent job of doing that. They invited me to Bible studies, invited me to just hang out with them and do life with them, and they walked alongside me with that. And so then I applied to be on junior staff at camp, and I started serving. And again, people are just pouring into me as I'm serving, and I'm learning what it means to be a giver instead of just a taker, and learn some leadership skills at camp while serving. Went home for my senior year, and I decided that I was going to start a spoken word ministry, and so I started doing poetry all around the state, different churches, coffee shops, and I would preach the gospel through poetry. And so I was able to do that ministry for a year, and then the Lord took me, and I started being a summer camp staffer, counselor for the summer of 2013. And so I was back at Bair Lake Bible Camp, serving once again, and just fell in love with the ministry. And I heard of an opportunity to be an intern, and so I didn't want to leave camp. And so I chose to stay for an extra year and serve at camp year round, and I got to see the behind the scenes of it, and
that
not so glorious moments all the time.
It didn't scare you away. It didn't scare you away.
Right. So then, during my first year internship, I met my wife Anna, and we started a really good friendship. So I really didn't want to leave camp then, and I started pursuing Anna, and I asked her to date me, and she said no.
Add a girl,
waited
Anna.
a couple weeks. Right. So then, I ask again, will you date me? She says no. So finally, I think it's by like the 5th or 6th time, she said yes. So to all the guys out there, persistence is good.
That's
but
right.
You have to toe that line of creepy
Yes.
and persistent.
Yes.
So I was navigating that. But so Anna and I started dating in 2014. We got married in 2015. We've been married for almost 5 years now. And we've gone through a lot of ups and downs, and we are currently expecting our first child in March.
Yes.
Congratulations.
Which we're super excited about. Yeah, thanks.
Yeah. And so there's just to kind of hit the pause button here is in the story. So you've been serving at Bair Lake for going on 6 years. So it started in 2014, going on 6 years, but then obviously you've had a connection with the camp really since you were in 8th grade, which is pretty significant. And one of these things, the thing that I'm processing through, because I see the need for it so frequently, and this is why we love camp and why I think it's just a vital part of local church ministry, is that there is something unique that can happen in the lives of young people when they're taken out. Like, this is my observation, when they're taken out of their normal daily routines and taken to kind of a sacred space off the beaten path. And that opens up unique doors, it seems to me. I mean, has that been your experience and kind of in your time in camping ministry?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's an awesome opportunity to be able just to turn down the distraction of life. It's a biblical principle. Biblical men going into the wilderness and encountering God, and being able to get out of that comfort zone and meet those people and form new relationships and turn down the media, turn down the crap, and being able to kind of go into this space where you can truly be able to heart check yourself and have that safe space to be able to do that is a really cool thing.
Yeah, for those of our listeners, I had the really amazing, and I will just highlight that amazing opportunity to be the chapel speaker for like the last week of Bair Lake's camp this past summer, and I just walked away from that experience with the students that I got to interact with there, where it was just clear, like, many of them had a new encounter with God, unlike what they had previously. I mean, they were able to voice, like, something different happened here. I saw something in a new way. I understood God in a new way. For me, it's like a part of me, I'm thinking in two minds here. I'm like, as I'm there serving at camp, I'm like just overwhelmed by like how good God is to reach these kids where they're at. Because some of them, I mean, and this is no surprise to you, because I'm sure you encountered every single summer. Like, there are some difficult stories. There are difficult things that these kids are bringing to camp. There's difficult things that even some of the staff are bringing to camp, bringing to their time of service, and just the significant experience where lives were changed in that week is really, really amazing to me. And then I think to myself, gosh, there's something unique seems to be happening here that maybe isn't happening in the same way in the local church. Now, what I'm wondering is because you made this kind of statement, and I think it's a valid one, but if you could flesh it out more, what is happening at camp that maybe isn't happening at the local church? What are the uniquenesses between the two? And then, and feel free to however you want to say this, what are some things that maybe the local church could learn from camping ministry, from your perspective?
Yeah. I think the experience of being taken out of that environment that you're comfortable in is always a healthy thing. And when kids come to camp, they're experiencing 2 chapel sessions a day, morning devotions, and then they're surrounded in this community that is going towards the same common goal. And so I feel like the church can accomplish that. It just takes accountability and purposefulness. And so one of our goals as an organization is to provide this authentic community. And so to be able to tear down those walls that bring that authenticity and being real and talking about real issues and being there in a atmosphere that feels safe to do that is really important. When you're standing over a kid and wagging your finger at them, saying you need to be this, they're not going to want to open up to you, and you're not going to be able to get into the heart of the issue and the heart of the problems. And so, I think that's part of our goal. Our mission statement here at camp is to inspire this generation to encounter God. And Joel, I think you were hitting it on the head as far as when you encounter something, you leave changed. We see that with Saul becoming Paul when Saul encountered Jesus, and we see that in Peter when Peter encountered Jesus. Those men left changed, and so we desire that for these students. We want to promote these opportunities for them to encounter the true living God, and so we do our activities to promote that. We even the zip line and tubing and the chapel sessions, the team building, all those are with that mentality of, okay, are we creating this authentic space for them to encounter God and to bring them out of that comfort zone? It's really cool to be able to watch a kid who is struggling on the zip line and fearful to go off, but to have their cabin mates cheering for them at the bottom of the zip line to take that leap. And then we can go back into the cabin and say, hey, you know how you took that leap off the zip line? You can take that leap in your faith too.
Right.
And be able to apply that. So I think, creating those opportunities, and that's where, I think camp strives in. We get to help create those opportunities for youth pastors bringing their kids in. But that's where, youth pastors and other churches come in, and they're such a crucial part of being able to then have those follow-up conversations, be that accountability, follow up with those students after the retreat and continue to do so. Students in this upcoming generation just need persistent people in their life that they know they can depend on and count on to continue to hold them accountable.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I could not underscore that enough. You don't have to be a rock star youth worker. You don't have to have all the right Bible answers, but if you can be present and consistent, that just does so much, especially for a generation that is feeling emotionally and spiritually abandoned many a times by people that they should be able to trust. So beautiful words. And again, I would say, because you're going to hear me, we're talking with Daniel here because I so firmly believe in the ministry of Bair Lake, and believe in what this dude is doing, but and the whole team. My goodness, Daniel, this to be true. You're working with a lot of great people there, but every person that I encounter at Bair Lake, what I love about it is that there is such a united purpose. Everybody is pulling in the direction that Daniel is outlining here, and it's just that gives you a good sense of confidence in where things are going. And for my own youth group, this past, I would for our ministry, I would indicate that a turning point for our ministry was this past year in our winter retreat. Our students fundamentally came away more connected with each other, more spiritually awake, and it was a corner turn for us. Things started to gain traction in new areas, and all I can say is that God showed up in a unique way at that event, and I'm just the super grateful recipient of it. So, can't say enough about what camp does for students and what it brings to the table. Now, Daniel, the other fun question we absolutely have to ask you is, what is it like working with your wife? Now,
right? Because
and maybe because obviously Anna serves as the program manager there, so you guys serve alongside of each other. So how has that worked out? What does that dynamic look like? And teach me your secrets, please.
Man, I wish there was this big secret. I think there's some major blessings with it. You know, Anna is my best friend. She makes me better, and you know, that's the beautiful thing about marriage is there's a sanctification process in there.
Amen.
And so, you know, instead of just seeing me in the evening and being able to speak into my life and point out some of the sin in my life that happens in the evening, she's able to do that all day long. And so,
Such a blessing. Wow.
But in the same way, you know, she also gets to see the accomplishments. She gets to see the good things and be able to encourage me in those things as well. And so, you know, there's sometimes a little awkwardness of you get home from a long day of work and you're sitting at the dinner table and it's like, you know, the typical question should be, how was your day? Well, I know how your day was because I was there for the entire day.
Right.
So there can be that, you know, lack of conversation piece. But to be able to do ministry together has been such a huge blessing. And Anna is phenomenal at what she does. And I've been able to watch her grow the past 4 years and really find her niche and the way that she just loves people well and has this deep heart for caring for people and being able to help guide and counsel through some hard things in life. And so she's done an excellent job. She is one of two that head up our summer staff program with the 31 college students coming in, and she helps lead them throughout the summer. And so that's been really fun to watch. And for us to be able to do ministry as a family and bounce off of each other and thrive with each other, and then also be able to pull back and cry with each other and pray together and you know, seek God in the hard times together too has been a huge blessing.
How do you deal with maybe conflict? I mean, because obviously, like for me or Joel, where we're doing ministry or just regular, you know, outside not ministry work, but we can come home and talk to our wives like that, where you're with your wife all the time because you're living there. Not only are you working together, but you're living there also. So your house is also, you know, your work, which is also your ministry, which is also your job. Like, how does that? How do you separate that?
Yeah, so we try to do our best. When we walk through the door at home, we're home, and we leave work at work. That doesn't always happen, and
Right.
sometimes we just need to hash it out. It's kind of funny the dynamic in our relationship. I grew up in a home where like it was okay to argue, and like there wasn't any hatred from that. Like it's just kind of what you did. And she's a total peacemaker. So when we first got married, and like I was like, "All right, it's argue time to put on the boxing gloves," and she's like, "I just want peace," you know.
Right.
And so we had to navigate through that and work through that. But you know, I think it's patience, and we've had to come to the point where we just need to look at each other and say, "Okay, we need to table this because emotions are too high right now." And respect when the other person says that. Even if you want to keep going and keep talking about it, you just need to respect that because there's a beauty in patience and letting it sit for a little bit and being able to collect your thoughts and collect your emotions and figure out, okay, why am I having these emotions? What am I going to let these emotions do? And how are they productive? So we get to, you know, examine that, and then when things are cool and collected, you know, now we can come back and say, okay, I hear you. I hear what you're saying. This is how I'm viewing it. How can we work together to resolve this? And so, yeah, that's been something that's worked for us, you know, the past year and a half, 2 years.
So, which is beautiful, and I feel like I took several notes on what you just said there, and I'm gonna try to put those into practice. The art of tabling a discussion. I think I need to work on that, or think how to navigate that. That's a tough one, especially when you're in the heat of something pretty intense. I mean, it could feel, it's just a challenge to pull back from it if you need to. That's good counsel. So the other thing that to share as much as you want to share. You guys are expecting a child in March. Praise the Lord. But that was a journey for you guys, like in your pregnancy journey. How what with whatever you want to tell us about that to where the point you are right now. I mean, that has been a process of growth between the two of you as well.
Yeah, yeah. So it's been a long journey. It kind of started in July of 2018. We had a traumatic incident happen here at camp where the person who married us and who was a dear friend of ours, was a lifelong friend of Anna, and who was a mentor to me, got seriously injured while at camp. And Anna and I, we also work in emergency services. I'm a firefighter. She's an EMT. And so we had to respond to our own friend in that situation. And because of that, that caused some trauma with us. And so our friend ended up passing 6 months later, 5 months later. And so going through that grief and then also dealing with our own trauma through that was a journey in itself. And then our friend passed in December, and we decided that we were going to try to start a family in November. And in January, we went to the doctors because we just felt like we needed to check on a few things. And in January, the doctor looked at us and said, "There's a good possibility you won't be able to have kids." And so after dealing with the grief of losing one of our best friends and dealing with that trauma, hearing that was like a whole another grief process. And Anna's always dreamt of being a mom. It's what her heart desired, and we believe that the Lord gave her that desire. And so we were heartbroken over that. I had several conversations with some men in my life, and I'm in tears saying I might not be able to give this to my wife, and she's experiencing this heartbreak over again, and it was just hard. And so we went through this trial and this time of the unknown and not knowing, and we were trying, nothing was happening, and so finally, I looked at her and said, maybe the Lord's trying to do something in us. Maybe we need to start looking at adoption and foster care. And to be honest, that terrified me like no other. I have a huge respect for people who do adoption and foster care. It is definitely a needed ministry. At the time, I didn't feel like I myself was built for that, and it was scary. And so we started looking at that, and it didn't feel right. And I was trying to work through that, and so we then started approaching the date or the anniversary of the accident that happened at camp in July, and we kept on going to doctor's appointments, and they started talking about trying different things, but we also wanted to keep it in God's hands. And so we kept on praying through it and working through it, and the anniversary of the accident hit, and it was just a flood of emotions coming back from that. It was just such a hard year, and there's still a little bit of that trauma there that Anna was getting therapy for PTSD, and we were working through that. And it was the day after the anniversary. It was just heavy hearts, and she ended up taking a test because she felt like she needed to take a pregnancy test. It was the day after the anniversary of the accident that we found out that we were pregnant. And we truly feel like it was just such a gift from the Lord. Of like, hey, you've gone through a really rough year, and it was just a sign of the Lord's faithfulness, and Him really knowing what our heart's desires were. And I look back at Lamentations 3:23, and His mercies are new every morning, and great is His faithfulness. And He really just blessed us with that, so we were able to celebrate that. I am not a guy who can keep his lips shut very well, and so I wanted to tell everybody. And so we were making phone calls to family pretty right away, and we ended up calling her sister, her sister Abby, and Abby had morning devotions the morning that we found out that we were pregnant, and her morning devotion was about the barren woman.
Oh,
And
wow.
Abby had handwritten a prayer for Anna in her Bible to be able to have natural-born children.
Wow, that's amazing.
That's the same morning that we found out that we were expecting. So yeah, the Lord is so good, and it was such a journey, but great is His faithfulness through it all.
Yeah. Wow. Well, and I think experiences like that, there's the temptation that could either make you better or it could make you bitter. One or the other. It could bring the two of you closer together, or it could drive you apart in loss. And that's so many times that Andy and I have talked about this. As we've talked about with Andy and Julie and their story of losing a child, like experiences like that. Marriages either come out of there thriving or they
split.
They split. They break up. And so did you guys ever feel like? Did you feel like relationally that there was ever a crisis between the two of you, or was it just like you were like we're arm in arm, we're in this together?
Yeah, no, there was definitely a spot of huge tension. We both just felt like we couldn't catch a break, and that did start kind of putting some tension on us, and I kind of went in this woe is me status.
Sure.
And just kind of got a little angry, and because of that, I would have a short temper. I wouldn't have a lot of patience, and there was this time I remember it was over something really silly at work, and it was kind of a moment where we ended up bringing that home, and I just blew up, and I felt like she wasn't hearing me, and I felt like she wasn't on my team, and that wasn't the case. I was just my anger blinded me to it and deafened me to the truth. And I remember like I was getting ready to walk out of the house angry, and I don't know, I had no idea where I was gonna go. Like I was like, I'm just gonna leave and do who knows what. And I just remember like stopping. I was like, this is so dumb. Like this isn't how I truly feel. This isn't what I want. This is just some undealt trauma and undealt heart issues that have festered and are trying to make their way out. And I was able to seek some wisdom again from. I can't stress enough having older people in your life to be able to seek and seek wisdom and be able to pray for you and encourage you and walk alongside you, because those men in my life were able to come alongside me and open me up to some truth and kind of bring me back on that track, and was able then to seek Anna and her forgiveness and some things, and kind of bounce back, and we both came to this realization that we need help working through this trauma, because if you let this trauma and this grief just sit there and not deal with it, then it just gets bigger and bigger, and so being able to deal with that grief in a healthy way was a huge benefit for us.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I can just say you're not the guy today that you were a few years ago, right? And I would assume Anna would probably say the same thing about herself. That though difficult, this has like forged you in some fire, so to speak. So, I'm grateful for your guys' story. I'm grateful for what it has done in your lives, and I just know God's going to continue to use it, which is also the exciting thing on the other side of it. So we'll make sure that we do come March when we get to celebrate another DeForge being released into the world. Good things for all of that. And we're gonna be praying for you guys and all of it. We're excited for next chapters.
Yeah.
So, man, Daniel,
Thank you so much.
I I'm just gonna moment of transparency here. I love you so much. I'm so grateful for you. I really am. And we say on this show that we want to expose our listeners to our friends. We want our friends to become other people's friends, even from a distance. And you've given a good friend pitch here today. I feel like solid reasons to be your friend and to hear this story. And we hope it's helpful for some other people as well. So you've successfully completed the
interview part,
the process where you just share your whole life and your heart with us, and we take a brief moment to receive that and accept it, and then we move quickly on.
Now it's time for the Dudes and Dads Pop Quiz.
Oh, yes.
All right, so if you're just joining us, every time we have a listener or a interview, we also do a pop quiz. So it's kind of a back and forth between me and Joel, just random questions. And so I'm going to go ahead and take the first one here. Daniel, let's say Coke or Pepsi or neither.
Ooh, cherry Pepsi.
Oh, yes.
Great choice. Worst thing you've ever eaten?
Oh, like the squid that still have the shrimp that still have the brains in them.
Ooh. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
gross.
Bad deal.
Favorite restaurant?
Buffalo Wild Wings.
Good one. That's a good choice.
Nice. Total dude move as well. Let's see. We're gonna say, what was your first vehicle?
Ooh, a 2003 Subaru.
Wow, very responsible. Did one of your parents own that before they gave it to you?
No, my dad just drove by a Kroger and saw it for sale sign. I was like, "Hey, here's your first car."
That's amazing. Way to go!
Nice.
So it was responsible. It was a responsible purchase. That's wonderful.
All right. So what was your first date with Anna?
We went. What was our?
Hung out
it
at
was
camp.
on her birthday. It was on her birthday, and I didn't know it was an actual date until finally, it was midway through, and she's like, "Hey, where are you at with my dad, by the way?" And I was like, "Well, I'm waiting to ask for, his permission when you're ready." And she's like, "Okay, yeah, I'm ready." And I didn't really catch it, and I was still eating, and then it finally hit me "Whoa, this is happening."
Yes, got it. Okay, so let's see. What was I going to ask? Okay. So, Daniel, you have mentioned that you do serve as a fireman, and I'm just wanting to know what is the weirdest call that you have ever answered? Like call to a scene of something or whatever. What's the weirdest thing that comes to your mind that you've ever witnessed in that line of duty?
Yeah. So there was there was a time we got called to a structure fire. And we got there, and the fire was already out. And so we later discovered that the fire started because there was a couple teenage girls smoking in the bathroom. Mom came home. They threw their cigarettes in the trash can, left to a movie with Mom. Trash can caught on fire, caught the bathroom wall on fire. But then heated up the porcelain toilet so much that it cracked, and the toilet put the fire out, but it flooded the whole house.
Oh man,
that is the best answer we've had on the pop quiz so far.
I was gonna say,
that
I think
nails
that
it.
Tops everything.
I'm going to end on that note. That's fantastic. Awesome. Well, Daniel, congratulations. You have successfully completed yet another Dudes and Dads Pop Quiz. And I would say this: you are in top contention for maybe one of the best guests in this regard yet. So congratulations to you.
Thank you guys so much. Really appreciate the opportunity to be on here. And just as you guys continue your ministry, just know that you're doing great work. And I definitely have experienced the fruits of your ministry and your hearts and the way that you've been pouring those out.
Oh, buddy, we appreciate you so much, so much. Well, guys, again, we just want to thank everybody for tuning in. Hey, happy holidays to all of you. We'll be back in a couple weeks with more good content. And Andy, it's been another pleasure.
It has, man.
Well, yeah, I guess here we go. We're done. Way to go. Until next time.
Grace and peace.